What's up, guys, and welcome to Press A Repeatedly. Justin Thomaso here with Chris Gold.
Hey, everybody.
Chris, welcome back. You were away last week, and you found your way home.
I did. I was kind of lost in the woods for a while there. I don't know how I managed to get there in the first place, but then I remembered, hey, as long as I follow the North Star, I'll always find my way home. That only got me further lost because it's not a reliable means of actually guiding you directionally. So I remembered, oh, right, my phone. So I just Googled it up, and yeah, I was able to find my way back.
Yeah, only took a few weeks, but you made it back.
Yeah, man, the things I seen, the things I ate. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much.
All right, so burning question from me is
Okay.
I want to know how your day went, because all I know, this is live as I record this, is that you got 4 cavities filled today, and that just sounds awful.
It wasn't ideal. So I've had this issue going on for the past couple weeks or so where one of my back teeth, I can't bite down on it. Like, I try to bite down on it, and it feels like someone is swinging a hammer up into my tooth. Like,
Ugh.
it's just an extreme amount of pain. So I was like, this is not normal. So I set up an appointment with a dentist. Now, I had been going to my old dentist from back when I was living at my old place. So this time I was like, you know what? I want to switch over to... I'd been wanting to switch over to a closer, more local dentist for a while. And I was like, you know what? This is a good opportunity. So I found a close office, and I set up the appointment. And I went in today, and I was like, Doctor, you got to help me. My back tooth is giving me fits. He's like, all right, no problem. Let me just take a ton of x-rays, and we'll get it all sorted out.
Okay.
So they took the x-rays, and it was actually a little weird because I'm used to, like, oh, yeah, if you need x-rays, you just take, like, a couple pictures on the right side, a couple pictures on the left side. These guys, they took pictures, like, pretty much just, like, a ton of pictures all around the sides of my teeth. Then they took pictures, like, pointing down towards my teeth. And
Oh, I know
up
what you're
at my
talking
teeth.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got a good look at all my teeth, like, all around. And they're like, okay, so yeah, you've got that issue with the one tooth. You're probably going to need a root canal there. I was
Oy.
like, okay, I kind of expected that, but do go on. He was like, let's talk about your other teeth and how they're pretty much riddled with cavities, like in between the teeth, like not on top. Like if you check on top, they're fine, but in between each teeth, yeah, there's a lot going on in there. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty basic. Like, you look at these x-rays, and they're very obvious. Didn't your old dentist notice these or point these out? And I was like, no, he didn't, as a matter of fact. He's like, yeah, these have been here for years and years. I can't believe no one's looked at these before. So he was like, well, I've got some time to kill. You know, you want me to fill, like, 4 of them? And I was like, may as well. I mean, they gonna have to get taken care of eventually. May as well knock them out right now. So yeah, loaded me up with some good stuff. Numbed me up really, really good. Gave me some other stuff. I have no idea what it was. I know he gave me Novocaine, and there was something else I think he gave me, which kind of made me a little loopy. And also, he reclined the chair way back, so pretty much my feet were sticking up, and my head was like 6 inches from the floor. And yeah, he just went to town, drilled away, and yeah, took care of my cavities.
Oh, man.
And I still have a few more to go. He just didn't have enough time today to look at them all. So yeah, pretty much doing a lot of, I guess, a course correction in where my teeth are. So I'm not too bothered by it. I'm more annoyed that my old dentist never caught this because I like having healthy teeth. I don't want them to be all shitty. And so Yeah, I appreciate the new dentist, pointing these out. And he showed me the X-rays, and he pointed out like the dark spots. He's like, "That's a cavity. That's cavity. That's cavity." I'm like, "Oh yeah, like those are pretty noticeable, I guess." So
Wow.
yeah, fun times, with my teeth.
That's crazy. Were you at work today? Like, did you take
No, I took the day. Originally, my plan was go in the morning and get my tooth looked at, get told, yeah, you need a root canal. Here's someone you need to talk to. Okay, and then I go in the second half of the day. Then he told me, yeah, we're gonna just take care of these cavities. And so I was like, okay. Hey, had to shoot my boss a quick text. Hey, I might not be able to come in today after all, because this is going to take a while, and I'm going to have to try to come down from the drugs. It was a lot. So, yeah, I took the day.
Yeah, no, it's good. I wouldn't want to go back to work after that. How long were you at the dentist office for?
A few hours.
Yeah, oof.
Yeah. So, all in all, a fun day. I mean, as much fun as it could be. The dentist was super, super cool. Yeah, really good guy. Really nice. And yeah, I'm looking forward to working with him going forward, especially in the coming weeks.
Yeah, you might have to give me his name because I need to go to the dentist. It's been a little while for me, so.
I mean, he's kind of far from where you are. It probably would be better if you found someone closer to your area. I mean, there's a ton of dentists all over the place up where we are, and especially up where you are. I'm sure you'd find someone really good who's on your insurance.
Good point.
Yes. So now, switching gears for something else that we can sink our teeth into, Justin.
Oh, very good.
Yes. So this past week, there was a Nintendo Direct that was dropped on our funny little noggins.
Yeah, there sure was. And I don't know about you, but it was a little more packed in that Direct than I thought there was going to be.
Yeah, same. I really wasn't expecting there to be like as much information. I thought they would give some info about some indie games, maybe some obscure titles, but no, we got a lot of surprises in this Direct. And yeah, Justin and I, we really wanted to talk about them, so that is going to be our topic for this week's episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty to talk about there. Plenty of stuff that we got really excited about, so we'll dive into that a bit later. But for now, Chris, you had the week off last week. I'm sure you've been playing some stuff. So let me ask you, what are you playing? What are you playing?
Well, Justin, you're right. I have been playing some video games. And I guess probably the most high-profile video game that I've played is Spider-Man.
So that's awesome. I'm really excited that you got it. I didn't even know you got it till like a few minutes ago. And yeah, I am super curious. I'm hearing a lot of great things online. You know, I just would like to hear from somebody that I know who's played it. So yeah, go for it, my man.
All right, so Spider-Man is the hot new thing that is out right now. It's PS4 exclusive, developed by Insomniac, and it is a lot of fun. Like, I gotta say, because I know, Justin, you are not really big into superheroes, and that's all cool and good, but Spider-Man is one of the cooler heroes out there. Like,
Agreed.
Even you, like, Spider-Man is so ubiquitous that even you know, I'm sure, a lot of his backstory and, like, his villains. Like, I mean, he's just all over pop culture at this point. And so what I like about the game is it starts off Spider-Man, and you're also Peter Parker. You're just kind of established as Spider-Man already. You don't have to go through the whole rigmarole of, oh, you know, I'm Peter Parker and I'm in high school, and then he gets bit by a spider and he goes through the thing and he like lets Uncle Ben get killed and it haunts him. You don't see any of that. He's just like, well, yeah, he's in his apartment. Here's a crime happening on his police scanner, dresses up as Spider-Man, and goes out and decides to be Spider-Man.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we don't have to deal with any of that right now. So when the game starts off, you are fighting one of Spider-Man's, I guess not like his worst villains, but one of the more like nefarious ones, the Kingpin. And the Kingpin is pretty much just a mobster. He controls crime in New York City. He's a real arrogant, big, fat, bald guy. And he's like strong as an ox. But other than that, he doesn't really have too many other superpowers going for him. And this whole section is mostly just a tutorial section. Like, oh, here's how you be Spider-Man. Here's how you fight. Here's how you do this and that and all that sort of fun stuff. And I gotta say, like, at the start of the game, there is definitely a learning curve to being Spider-Man. You start out like, oh, you leave your apartment and you have to swing along to the Kingpin's tower, the building that he owns and he operates from, where the police are all congregating and they're trying to arrest him. So the game is teaching you, oh, here's how you swing. And it's like very basic and like it, I don't know, like I kept screwing up when I was trying to swing. Like I kept bumping into buildings and I kept like swinging into balconies and all that, and I was just like, man, I can't imagine Spider-Man would be humiliated if people are looking out their window and seeing him swinging along and just ooh, like wailing into like one of those balconies, and they'll like fall into the floor and fall into the street and having to like swing his way back up.
Smacking into a billboard.
Yeah, ow. But yeah, like once you get past that tutorial mission, like you start getting other story related missions, because there is like a big overarching story to the game itself. It's not just an open ended adventure. And once you get past the tutorial, like, and you start like swinging around the city more, and you start getting into more and more fights, it starts to click. Like, it definitely starts to click into place, and it just feels good. Like, it just feels so good and fluid to go zipping around Manhattan. There are points where like you're climbing a building and you have this move where you can fire both of your web shooters. Your web shooters. That's the word. You fire your web shooters at like a ledge, and you like you zip yourself real quick up to it, and then as soon as you get to the ledge, you can hit X to jump, and it just launches you into the air, and you just go soaring over buildings. And then as you come down, you hit the web sling button, and you just start swinging along the buildings, and it just feels so good. Like, it's just controlling Spider-Man is just an absolute blast. Like, I could literally just swing around these buildings all day. That's just how good it feels.
I remember the PlayStation 2 Spider-Man game, and it came out of GameCube too, I think. All the systems, I think, around that year.
Right.
I remember the swinging in that game was just felt so fun to do. So I'm pretty sure that Insomniac really tried to nail that and make it even better for this game.
Yeah, it just has so much polish going on for it. The combat is it's a little clunky for my tastes, I guess, just because there's a ton of different options you can do. It's kind of like a fighting game, you know. You hit this button and you'll just do a simple punch. If you hit this button, you'll launch a guy into the air. If you've got a guy with a barricade in front of him so you can't hit him head on, you hit this button, then that button, and you'll slide under his feet and pop up behind him, and then you can like hit him that way. And it's like, okay, you know, it explains all this like pretty even keel. But I'm still at the stage where combat is literally just me smashing all of the buttons until something positive happens. Because you're Spider-Man and you're fighting a lot of guys all at once. And it's cool too because there's different environmental weapons that you can utilize. So say there's a trash can over there, and you'll see like L1 and R1 will appear over the trash can, and that tells you, okay, I can use that for combat. So if you hit those buttons, Spider-Man will grab it with his web, and then he'll swing it around him, and then he'll throw it in front of him. So he'll knock out whatever enemies kind of get in the way of the can as it's swinging along. I was fighting a couple guys on top of a building, and there was like a construction site going on up there, and there was these what are they called? The stands where it's like the metal bars are holding them up and the wood planks.
Bleachers?
Not bleachers. It's like when you're trying to build something and you're like standing on them to get higher up. I don't know.
A scaffolding?
Called. Scaffolding. That's the word. God, why couldn't I remember that? So the scaffolding, you'll see that get the L1, R1 treatment. And if there's a bunch of guys there, you can just sling that and pull it over and just pull it all on top of them.
That sounds pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, it's super fun. Like, it's a lot of fun beating the hell out of these guys. The more you fight, you fill up. You kind of fill up this focus gauge, is what they call it. And when you have the focus gauge, you have a couple options there. You can use the focus gauge to pull off these really unique moves that is dependent on Spider-Man's outfit, which, by the way, there are different outfits that are customizable, and they each have different moves. And so, like, one move, like if you're wearing his classic Spider-Man suit and you fill up his focus gauge, you can activate the suit's power, jump into the air, and he'll just start shooting web out from all over him in like just a giant burst, and any enemies that are around him are just covered in web and they're incapacitated.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool. So, and there's just so much that, like, as you fight more guys and as you complete more missions, do different objectives, you level up. Like, you gain experience points and you'll level up. And as you level up, you get points that can be added to a skill tree, which will upgrade your skills as you progress through the game. It's pretty standard. It's the same system, I think, that God of War had with upgrading Kratos as you're progressing.
Okay.
And man, there's just so much going on in this game that just is done so well. Like, even outside of the combat missions and the actual story missions, there's a lot of different collectibles that you can find. Like, Peter in game left a bunch of his backpacks around Manhattan as he was just starting out as Spider-Man, and they each have like different supplies and different things that he can use, so you have to kind of find them. There are these towers that kind of open up the map. They're similar to like Assassin's Creed or like Breath of the Wild, where you climb a tower, you activate it, and then it unlocks that part of the map. Like, you can actually see what's around you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super, super cool. I guess the only real criticism I have is some of the gameplay does feel a little bit dated. And by that, I specifically mean there are plenty of quick time events. So, like, in the first boss fight, when you're fighting Kingpin, like, after you beat him up for a while, you start, like, falling through floors, and, like, you're fighting each other as you're falling. And as you're doing that, you get quick time events that pop up. What's nice, though, is, like, you have plenty of time to actually, like, react to the quick time event. Like, you'll see, everything will slow down, and then the square button will pop up, and a circle will be constricting down towards the square button. So you'll know, okay, as soon as the circle is over the button, I'll hit square, and Spider-Man will do whatever it is he's about to do.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like super quick where if you miss it, you're not going to know, like, and it's not going to pop the button up and be like, oh shit, which button is that? You know, you'll have plenty of time to actually react to it. But still, like, the whole quick time event thing, it just feels like a relic, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely dated. I know there was some in God of War too, and sometimes I thought about that as well.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, as long as they're not in there too much, I don't really mind them. But if it's like every big cutscene has one or something like that, then it starts to grate. Grind my gears.
Right. So, yeah, that's I mean, that's one thing. And also, like, this one, it's not really so much of a criticism, it's just kind of a commentary. I know a lot of people have pointed out that the new Spider-Man, especially in terms of the combat and how you're moving around, it pretty much just looks like one of the Arkham games that Rocksteady had developed for Batman. It looked like Arkham, but with Spider-Man.
I was going
And
to ask you actually if they are similar or
they feel very similar.
okay.
Yeah, they definitely feel very similar in that regard. But on the other hand, like, I loved the Arkham games. Like, I thought they were a ton of fun. Like, I didn't have any problem with that. Yeah, if anything, that just made me more excited to play Spider-Man, if we're being completely honest. And even then, like, a lot of the time where Batman's combat style, like, it's kind of similar to Spider-Man, where he, like, as you're punching, you'll get, like, Spider-Man's spider sense will kick in. It'll be like little wavy lines above his head, and then you can counter when an enemy is about to hit you. Batman kind of had a similar function, but it makes more sense with Spider-Man as opposed to Batman because, I mean, yeah, Batman is like a ninja and he's athletic, but I mean, this guy is like a jacked linebacker and he's like soaring across the room and like hitting people like literally in a second. He's flying across the room and wailing on people, and it just looks so goofy because he's this just big, tall, giant dude and he's just flying around like nothing. With Spider-Man, I mean, he's very sleek and like very mobile and agile, and it just that sort of thing, like, it still happens with him, but it makes more sense, like it just feels right with Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's more nimble, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like Spider-Man, it's a ton of fun. I feel like it's a pretty short game, though, because I saved after playing it for a few hours, and the game told me, oh, yeah, you're 10% of the way through. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I feel like I kind of just got started. But, I mean, that's fine. I'm at a point now where I don't necessarily need or want just a time sink. I just want a game where I can hop in, be Spider-Man, sail around New York, which, by the way, looks fantastic. Like, as someone who has never lived in New York City, but has visited a few times, it looks exactly like my imagining of New York City.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really excited to check that out at some point because, just what a crazy city to try and recreate. Like just the greatest city in the world considered by most people. So, and
man, there's some subtle shade going on in there. Yeah, I know a lot of people who are not me consider it the greatest city. What's funny too is Batman. What's funny is Spider-Man. When he's on the ground level, I mean, there's a ton of people walking around the city, and if you hit the attack button when you're near anybody, you won't attack anyone. You'll just kind of like say hey to everybody. Like, you'll be like jogging along, and he'll have like his two fingers up to his forehead, and he'll kind of give like a little salute and be like, howdy, how you doing? And he'll do like the finger guns at people, and the reactions from some of the people are great because some people are like, hey, it's Spider-Man. We love you, Spider-Man. Spider-Man, take a selfie with me. And then other people are like, out of my way, spider prick. Like, like move it. Damn superhero thing. You just, mingle along with the rest of us. Yeah. And I just like crack up because I'm like, on the one hand, these ingrates, talking about Spider-Man in such a way. But on the other hand, I'm like, you know what? If Spider-Man were real, this is exactly the way New Yorkers would talk about him if he were an established presence in the city.
But for that guy, how often do you see Spider-Man? How often is he inconveniencing you on your commute to work? That you would say that.
It's just funny because of course people be like, Spider-Man, some big shot, whatever. They would just be so used to him that the aura and mystique of, wow, it's Spider-Man, would just wear off after a while. It's just yep, yeah, that's Spider-Man. It's, leaves web all over our beautiful city.
Yeah. Well, that sounds pretty great. Yeah, I think I heard that the game's about 20 hours long, which, I think that's a great amount of time for that game. Like you said, the combat sometimes can be a little tough or feel a little stale, and if you push really, any longer than that, I think the game might start to feel more like a chore. So, I think on the shorter side, I think is good. And then again, 20 hours it's still a pretty long time. That's not a short game, I would consider.
Right. No, you're right. It's just not a huge booming adventure where there's just hundreds of hours of gameplay, but it's a perfect amount of time. So yeah, Spider-Man. I really like it. I definitely recommend it. Go check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really glad you picked it up.
Let's see. So the other game that I tried out for this past week is another one that I had seen been making the rounds as a game that was really praiseworthy. It wasn't really lighting up a lot of the media sphere the same way Spider-Man was, but it was getting enough attention that it caught mine, and I decided to give it a try. And that game is The Messenger for the Switch.
Oh man, I've been meaning to pick that up.
Yeah, so The Messenger is it's kind of a 2D, almost Castlevania-ish type of game where you're exploring this world that has been ravaged by the demon army, and there's only a small enclave of humans that have survived. And according to legend, the Western hero is going to show up in 100 years when the demon army will rise up again to wipe out whatever is left of humanity. So in the beginning, you're part of this small ninja enclave, and you're taught the history of the world and of the demon army, and then things happen, and it's up to you now to deliver a scroll that is this important message to I forget exactly the details, but you have to deliver this scroll to the other side of the world, which has been taken over by demons. So it's up to you now as a ninja to be the messenger.
Huh.
And this game, pretty much all I have to say is it's published by Devolver Digital. And so what that means is there is a lot of fourth wall breaking going on in this game, and the gameplay is super tight. It's a ton of fun, and this game is hilarious. The writing in this game is just absolutely top notch.
Yeah, so I've been hearing that just the writing is really just funny, and like you said, a lot of fourth wall breaking and a lot of snarky answers, and
yeah, there's a lot of snark going on and just a lot of weird things that happen. It's just all done so well. The way Devolver always puts out a good product. So the game itself, I mean, there isn't really a whole lot to say. You just travel around these different levels, and you have basic ninja moves. And you have a sword that you can swing, and you shoot shurikens at people for ranged attacks. And you just have some basic enemies that each have their own moveset that you have to kind of adapt to as you're playing along. And there's this interdimensional portal that you can go to where you find a sentinel who is between the boundaries of space and time, and he's the shopkeeper. And he's pretty much the source of a lot of the humor and the snark in the game, but he's also your upgrade center. So as you traverse through the world, you get these little gems that you collect and you build up over time, and then at the shopkeeper, you invest these gems in for different power upgrades or different moves that you had before, similar to the skill tree like you have in Spider-Man. So,
Okay.
and some of these moves that you unlock, the game doesn't make it explicit, but a lot of these moves are kind of required to eventually beat the game, because there's some areas that you just can't traverse unless you go into the shopkeep's place and upgrade your stuff. So, I mean, eventually you will get stuck, I guess, and you'll have no choice but to go into his shop. But
Right.
I guess it is a little unusual that there's no indication of, oh, hey, you have to get like this upgrade before you can actually do this thing. So the game, it's kind of an 8-bit style. It honestly, like, from the music and the look of it, reminds me of, I guess, like a late era NES game. It just looks super, super crisp. The soundtrack is fantastic. I mean, it's an 8-bit soundtrack, like it's real MIDI sounding, so if I guess you're bothered by that level of sound quality, that might annoy you, but it's really well put together. Really, really good atmospheric soundtrack going on in the background. The enemy designs are really clever and unique, and yeah, it's just a ton of fun so far. Like, I'm having a blast. Like, honestly, like, some of the gameplay in the Messenger is just as much fun, if not more fun, than Spider-Man, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a really, really good game, and I know you're interested in picking it up, Justin. Yeah, I would highly recommend you do so. This game is just so, so good.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it and reading about it, and just, people seem to be over the moon with this game. What's your take on the difficulty so far?
Right now, it's not so difficult. If anything, like, some parts of it, I guess, are a little easy. And I mean, like, there are some areas, I guess, where I do run into a few challenges here or there, but give me a couple, like, tries with it. Like, when you die, you're brought back to life by this little one-eyed flying demon guy, and he follows you around for a while, and each gem that you collect, he will collect. And that's sort of his payment for, like, hey, I brought you back from the dead, but in exchange, I'm gonna take some of the gems that you collect.
Oh, that's pretty clever.
Right. Now, the gems that I think you have when you die, you still keep those, but you can't add on to your total for, like, a few minutes or so. Then, eventually, the demon, whose name is Quarble, he will go away, and he'll be satisfied. So, yeah, it's an interesting mechanic that punishes death a little bit there, but overall the game isn't really too challenging, although I have gotten to one boss. I think it's towards the middle of the game. I'm not sure, like, exactly how far in I am, but I have run into a boss right now that is giving me a little fits right now, so we'll see how it goes from there.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to hear more about that game.
Yes. So, aside from my indie arcade game, that is going to do it for me. So, Justin, I'm going to bounce this basketball right back towards you. So now the ball is in your court. What are you playing?
I see what you did there. Yeah, so this last week I talked about the Faerun collection on the Switch by Skipmore, the makers of Kamiko, which was one of my favorite games on the Switch last year.
Right, that was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, just such a great game on so many levels.
It was just so fun and so short. Like, it was just perfect.
Yeah, I mean, the gameplay, the music, the presentation, like everything about it just really struck a chord for me. So I've been following this developer on Twitter, and he's working on Pick Huntier, which is his next project, which is like it looks kind of like a Harvest Moon and a almost like Rune Factory, I guess, because it's not just farming; it's also like exploring and adventuring too. And I'm super pumped for that game. I can't wait for that to come out. But yeah, I went over this a little bit last week, but Faerun was the game before Kamiko, the game series that he had put together. They were on mobile devices. And yeah, so I beat Faerun 1, and I think I had just started playing Faerun 2 last week. I am pretty close to the end of Faerun 2 right now. Faerun 2 is like, it's the same, imagine like the same game, but just expanded so much, like 3 or 4 times bigger than the first game, which for me was awesome because I loved that first game so much. I had a ton of fun playing it.
Right.
Whereas instead of one world, there are 3 worlds for you to explore, and each one has its own underground area and a lot of other secret areas for you to look into. The combat and gameplay is still exactly the same. You're still like walking into the enemies to defeat them and stuff, but there's more puzzles, there's more items for you to collect, and just like a whole lot more to explore. I have not had to use a walkthrough yet, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of times of me just kind of wandering around and trying to get to where I need to go. And some maps are a little bit easier to navigate than others. So, like for example, this second world is like this ice world with a lot of trees and paths that kind of lead you to certain ways. And if you have to get to one point on the map, it's really not as easy as just going like down 2 squares and left 2 squares, because there might be like a wall of trees in the way of that. So you kind of have to try and figure out exactly how to get to that square part of the map that you need to get to. And it can get a little cumbersome at times.
Now, you had mentioned the gameplay, I guess, is very similar to Kamiko.
Somewhat. The combat is not the same. Like in Kimiko, you're actually like attacking, and there's a little bit more to it. Whereas in Faerun, you're literally just kind of walking into enemies and killing them. In Faerun 2, though, there's actually a coin system where you actually can find some coins, like by killing enemies or hidden in bushes and stuff. And for the longest time, I like did not know what they were for. I couldn't figure out any reason to use them, and I'm like gathering all these coins. And then I found a secret room that had an item in it that was an experience multiplier, and you could spend coins to make it go from 2 times experience to 3 times experience, and I was able to bump that up to 3 times, so that was pretty cool. So now, like, it's taking me way less enemies to kill to level up than it was before.
Nice.
Yeah, it's still a lot of fun to me. I think, yeah, I'm on the 3rd world. I'm almost done that, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be one like final world too that I have to explore. But after that'll be done, and then Faerun Origins would be the next one on that list. So we'll see if I hop into that afterwards.
All right, nice.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds like you're having a blast and a half.
Yeah, this game might not be for everybody, but for me, I really like it. It's a really good game to kind of relax to and just kind of wind down maybe at the end of the night.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep. And the other game that I started playing this week, Chris, I don't know about you, but I think everybody has probably at least a handful of games that they have like been thinking about getting, and they've been putting it off, and maybe they eventually got it, but they still didn't even start playing it yet, and just kind of sitting in their backlog or in their library for a while untouched.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was me with Tales of Berseria. a Tales game that came out a couple years ago that I had really wanted to play when I first saw trailers for it and started reading about it, and I just kept like putting it off and not getting it, and I don't know, different reasons of just not picking it up. And I think it was during the Steam sale. It was on sale for $15, and I didn't really want to play it on my computer. I'd rather play it on a console. So I hopped on the PS4, and unfortunately, it was still a full 60 on the PS4. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'll get it on the computer and play it on there. And I saved like $45.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
Yeah. So
I'm excited though. Like I had seen. Sorry to interrupt, but I know that Tales of Berseria. Yeah, that just came out relatively recently, like within the past couple of years, and I had seen this advertised. I was kind of the same way as you. Like I was kind of leaning towards like, yeah, should I get it? Should I not get it? I don't think I ever wound up getting it. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about the game.
yeah, a lot of RPG fans really like the Tales games. They, for me, are the ones I've played. They're definitely slow to start, and I feel like that can turn off a lot of people, especially when your time starts to get more valuable when it comes to playing games. And I had played Tales of the Abyss on the 3DS, and the first like at least 10 hours of that game, I was just kind of like, oh, I don't really know about this game. Like, I guess I'll keep going, but I'm not really feeling it that much. And then it's just so weird. Like, the more you play, the more attached you get to the story and the characters. And by the end of it, I was like completely like in love with the game. And I was hoping that would happen for this game. And interestingly, when I started playing Tales of Berseria, I was anticipating kind of a slow start, and it did start off a little slow with some backstory and like some flashbacks and stuff. But after about like maybe an hour or hour and 20 minutes, like you get into like the main like the present day like story and like what's going on, and it's crazy. Like it's a really dark like revenge story, and something really tragic happens to the main character, and you immediately identify with her, and you just want her to just get that vengeance that she craves so badly after what happened. And so her mindset is she will do anything to find this guy that wronged her and just kill him. Basically, that's her plan. And nothing's going to stand in her way. She doesn't care, if people want to help her or fight her. Like, she's going to get there, and she's going to make it happen. And you are immediately on board, and you just want to help her get there and get to that resolution. So it really draws you in pretty quick.
I admire a person with strong, clear goals.
Yes, absolutely. This one goal, basically. But, yeah, that's what she wants, and she's going to get it.
Hey, whatever that goal is, as long as she's got good, strong convictions behind it, then I support it 100%.
She does. Yeah, she is Velvet Crow. She is a really cool character. I think Zool even had her listed as one of his favorite characters of the year in our rankings at the end of the year last year.
Her name is Velvet Crow?
Velvet Crow.
That's awesome.
Yes, it's an awesome name. She's an awesome character. She's super badass. And the few party members that I've met so far seem really cool too, and they all kind of have their own backstories that they keep talking about, which is great. If you've never played a Tales game before, what I really appreciate is that some people might not like this, but there's a lot of dialogue in these games, and a lot of it's good dialogue. Like, a lot of it is character development stuff. Some of it's just silly, like, goofy stuff to make you laugh here or there. And it's all appreciated by me. And it's cool because there are these little cutscenes that are. It's almost like it looks like a comic book panels, right, with the characters in them. But it's anime drawn, like
Right.
animated basically. So like their mouths are moving and their eyes are moving, but their bodies are just kind of posed in different poses, like in like these comic book frames. And the artwork's really great, and the voice acting is actually very good, which I was surprised. I wasn't expecting that because normally in Tales games, like there's some really annoying voice acting, that really gets to me. And I'm sure I'll hit that eventually, but for so far, like I'm really enjoying the characters' voices, and yeah, just the whole journey, like so far, has got me pretty sucked in. I think I'm about 5 or 6 hours in, not too much, but for me, I had only started playing it a couple days ago, and it was like 3 hours one night and 2 hours another night, and like that's a lot for me. So, I'm just super pumped. Yeah, it's really great, and I am enjoying it.
Now, I guess how does it compare to any previous Tales games that you've played? Like, is it so far like better or worse? Or is there something they changed that you're not cool with, or anything like that?
So it's a lot of the earlier Tales games. When in the combat, it's an action-based combat where you are pressing different buttons to perform different attacks. Even though the battles are still kind of they're random battles almost in a RPG format. And in Tales of Berseria, you kind of have full 360-degree movement, which is really great. And a lot of the earlier Tales games, it was kind of just like either a left or right with maybe a sidestep that you could do. So that's pretty cool. There's definitely a lot of options of just basically what to attack, how to attack. A lot of menus, a lot of sub menus. Some of it is kind of overwhelming, and a lot of the stuff I'm not really sure I'm performing like the way I'm supposed to. Kind of like how you were saying with Spider-Man, the combat can feel kind of button mashy at times. You can map certain moves to certain buttons, but some of them kind of feel like you're just doing the same one over and over again. The battle is very combo based, so you're trying to like, it's almost arcadey, like combo, like you're just trying to get like a really high combo when you're attacking some of the enemies. And I think the game kind of leads into just repeatedly attacking quickly and just flashy and just kind of racking up like these numbers in the top right corner of the screen. And it's not the greatest, like you get used to it and you start to enjoy it, I guess, the more that you go. But for me, I feel like sometimes there's kind of not as much strategy involved in it. But again, I'm still pretty early on, and you can kind of switch between characters as you're fighting, which is neat. So you're not controlling them one by one, but if my other partner here is ready to unleash a special attack, I can just swap over to him real quick, do it, and then switch back to Velvet if I wanted to. So that's pretty cool.
All right, awesome. The Tales games have always been interesting to me, if only because I wonder where they come up with the names. Yeah, a lot of their names, like, I mean, we've got Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Legendia, Tales of Zilia, Tales of Soteria, Tales of Vesperia. Yeah.
Berseria.
Yeah.
And the Abyss.
and the Abyss.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's a great series. A lot of great games in there. Yeah, I'm glad this one is shaping up to be yet another really great game, and I'm excited to hear more about your further adventures.
Yeah, I'm enjoying playing it.
What else you got, if anything?
Yep, that's it for me. So I believe that will bring us right into the Indie Arcade.
Indie Arcade.
If you remember, last time on the Indie Arcade, I assigned Chris the game Cat Catch to play. Chris, take it away.
All right, so Cat Catch. This is not a game that you would look at when you first pick it up to play it and think, "Oh boy, I'm in for a really good time here." The game the game's graphics look really, really cheap and like they were done super, super quickly. It is not a good-looking game. From a technical perspective, there are some glitches and some clipping issues. Basically, the game is it's a version of Breakout, the classic game where you have the bricks and you have to use a paddle that is along the bottom of the screen, and you have to bounce a ball upwards to clear away the bricks, and once you clear them all, you've won. Cat Catch is sort of a variation on that, where you bounce the ball upwards, and it's in a room that is filled with a lot of crap. Not literal crap, but just a lot of stuff. Like there's tables and like coffee mugs and beds and all sorts of things that you would find just kind of in arranged nice in a nice room, you know?
Yeah, just a cluttered room.
A cluttered room. Sometimes it's a well-organized room, but either way, these are all things that you would find in a room. And in the room are cats. And these cats, some of them, like, let's say, for example, you've got a cat that you have to hit with one of the balls, and it's up on top of a bed. So what you have to do then is you hit these items with the ball, so you have to hit the bedding with the ball, and it will glow for like a few seconds, and then it will disappear. And as it disappears, the cat will drop down, and eventually once you hit the bedding enough times and clear it all away, and you clear a path to the cat, you'll hit the ball towards the cat. Like once it's on floor level, you can hit the cat, and once you get all the cats in the room is cleared, and you can move on to the next room.
So when you hit a cat, do they like just vaporize?
No, what happens is you hit them with the ball, and they'll start glowing yellow, and then they'll hop up on their hind legs, do a little dance, and then they will poof, just pop away.
That's lovely.
Yes. So honestly, the gameplay itself, like I was mentioning the technical issues, there are some times where like if the ball is bouncing towards you and you know like, oh, the ball is like your paddle is on one side of the screen, but then the ball is about to go towards the other side, you'll like bring the paddle over real quick to try to catch the ball. Sometimes when I've done that, the ball actually clipped through my paddle and went behind me and cost me one of the balls that I could use.
That's annoying.
So there were some issues like that, but other than that, honestly, this game really wasn't that bad. Like I actually had a pretty good time with it.
That's awesome.
Because you bounce the ball up and you hit these different objects, and there's some of them that are arranged in fun ways. Like there's some rooms where they have like cups that are stacked up in a pyramid, and if you hit the ball at them, you'll hit the cups and they'll glow for a few seconds, and then they'll disappear, and then they'll come tumbling down and scatter all over the place. And then as the ball is coming down, it'll hit each of these cups and it will kind of like bounce around. And what's cool too is when you hit these objects, like they'll glow for a little bit, but you can still like hit them as they're glowing when they're still on the floor. So it's not like as soon as you hit them, they're just gone and the ball will just traverse through them. Like there's still an obstacle in the room that you have to contend with.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty clever.
Yeah, so you have to like hit these different items and clear them out and just get to the cats. And what's funny too is once you get all the cats in the room, everything clears out. And then the camera perspective kind of like shifts downwards a little bit. And then the cats all just like drop down and they're on their back legs and they start doing a funky dance as this just kick-ass guitar riff is going on in the background. It's like, and it's like, yeah, the game's like, yeah, you know, you got all the cats. It's like, move on to the next room. I'm like, hell yeah.
That's awesome. That's Brad.
Yeah, it's so cool, and it's funny too, just because like the first time it catches you off guard, because like the music is just kind of like really soft and like it's like dee 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 dee, like it's like really like genteel and like quiet. Like the
Yeah.
game honestly is the type of game where if you have children and the children are being obnoxious, and you're like, you know what, here, just have a game, sit down, play it for a while, just something real quick, easy, mind numbing, just it'll distract them for a while. This is the perfect game because you'll just sit there and you'll just like be playing along and you'll be knocking stuff into these objects, trying to catch the cats. It's not a bad game. Like, it really isn't. Like, I actually enjoyed myself when I was playing it.
Well, yeah, I love Breakout, so I mean.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I love a good game of Breakout. The one thing that I was a little disappointed with is, and I mean, for the technical level of this game, it wasn't too much of a surprise. When you hit different items, or if they like fall over or whatever, they don't make a sound at all. Not like a little ding, or like if you hit something plastic, it doesn't sound like you're hitting something plastic. When that tower of cups that I mentioned earlier, when it falls over, it literally does not make any noise whatsoever.
Wow, that's like almost uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean there's background music, so it's not like it's completely silent, which would be really unnerving. But yeah, it was still a little weird that there wasn't. It's that extra polish put into the game. It's weird to describe it as that, but yeah, there's no sound effects or anything of that nature. And some of these rooms actually are a little, I guess, challenging / frustrating, because there's certain areas where like, oh, there's 2 cats in the room, and you have to like get both of them, but in the middle of the room, like from the top of the room down to about halfway, there is a solid wall. So you bounce the ball up there, and you can get the cat on one side, but then you have to get the ball back down, and you have to bounce it over to the other side of the room, because it can't go through the solid wall, obviously. So that can be a little frustrating, because, I mean, you've got the ball, and you don't have that great control of where it goes.
Right.
So, I mean, there are some. I mean, that's a frustration that's just kind of inherent in the game Breakout, though. So it's not really the developer's fault. But all in all, like, it was a solid time. Like, I was actually kind of surprised. Like, I mean, this isn't my favorite game of the year, but it was actually an enjoyable experience. Like, for what it was, I really, really had fun with it.
Yeah, that's exactly it for what it was. You know, like there are so many games that are out there that are available that are just supposed to be like something a little fun to mess around with, you know, not like change the world. And if it's done really well, you know, you can sink some time into it. So there you go. I'm glad Cat Catch was awesome.
Yeah, really good time. Solid pick. Thank you, Justin.
No problem.
Now, Justin, it is my turn to give a game to you.
Yes, and you loved Cat Catch, so I will surely love what you're going to give me now.
Well, we'll see. I have no guarantee, because, I mean, there was no guarantee I was going to love Cat Catch. There's no guarantee that you're going to love this game. I guess it all depends on what you think of this type of genre.
Okay.
So, the game I'm about to give you, Justin, is kind of old school inspired, but it's kind of out there in terms of outer space. That's the joke.
Very good.
Thank you. Justin, your indie arcade game for this week just came out today is Space Pirate Amai. And that's Space Pirate AMAI.
Okay, is that on Steam?
It is on Steam.
Okay.
Old school 2D shooter with crazy music by the indie band 8-Bit Phantom Galactic. Challenging retro space shooter Fight your way through various stages and enemies. Intense boss fight. Master the use of your shield to survive. Use power-ups to upgrade your ship's weapons. The game is essentially a shmup.
Ah.
Yep, it is a shmup set in outer space. Embrace space piracy with this retro-style space shooter. Join space pirate Amai and her crew on a quest to destroy everything in her path. And it goes on again, yeah, old school 2D shooter with crazy music by the indie band 8-Bit Phantom Galactic.
That I've never heard of, but it sounds awesome. Yeah, no, this I used to play Gradius with my brother a lot for the NES.
Okay.
Yeah, going back, and then or Life Force is more what we used to play. Actually, we played both, but Life Force was one that we had owned and played a bunch of.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely played a bunch of shoot 'em ups on the Super Nintendo too. I just don't know any particular names off the top of my head, but like when done really well, I really enjoy them. So.
Mm-hmm. Some of those shmups can be like a real pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, yes they can. Yeah. I'm watching some of the trailer here and like look at the screenshots. It looks pretty cool. I like the style. I like that you seem to be like a squid alien kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you're space pirate Amai.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, obviously. Come on, man, pay attention.
Yeah, looks like it has all the different lasers that you can get to shoot with and everything. Like, yeah, it looks like a pretty good homage to shmups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like and it looks like a pretty good one in its own right too.
Yeah, like the ship movement seems pretty fluid.
Yeah, well, we will find out for next time.
Yes, we will indeed.
All right, so that is Space Pirate Amai. You are Justin, and I am Chris. What do you say? We take a quick break, and we gather our thoughts to talk about the Nintendo Direct.
Sounds great to me. Back to Press A Repeatedly. Justin Thomaso here with Chris Gold, and we are about to talk about the recent Nintendo Direct that happened last week. We knew it was coming. It got delayed a week because of just these wild weather in Japan. And oh boy, howdy, was there some pretty interesting stuff that was unveiled.
There was quite a few surprises in this one. I know that after the Direct was delayed, there was some news that kind of got revealed afterwards. Like there was some more details regarding the Switch Online service, and I think Civilization 6 was coming to the Nintendo Switch. Like those details kind of got like released after the initial launch date, so it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, I figured that was kind of along the lines of what to expect at the Direct, but man, oh man, like they really, really pulled out a lot of surprises, and let's just dive right in with the very first surprise that Nintendo hit us with this Direct, which they hit us with right off the bat. And Justin, I know you're especially thrilled about this. They are releasing a Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah, it's something that I always was like, all right, if that happened, it'd be really awesome. But I don't think it's going to happen. I didn't think Luigi's Mansion 2 was going to happen. When that was announced a few years ago, I kind of lost my mind. And I was like, wow, 2 Luigi's Mansion games? That's going to be crazy. Wow. Who would ever think of a third one coming out on the Switch next year? I'm pumped. Of course I love Luigi. I really love the Luigi's Mansion games. They started off the direct with it, complete surprise. Nobody saw it coming. And they showed off some footage that, honestly, in my opinion, I thought kind of looked not that great. But also, I'm assuming that it was very early footage. It's funny, like the graphics look kind of like sharp a little bit, and like polygonal. And I thought it was just gonna be Luigi's Mansion New Moon being ported to the Switch, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then like I saw the 3, and I was like, whoa, wait, what? Like, this is a new game? And I don't know. It didn't look that great to me, but again, I think it's still too early.
Yeah, no, I think it looks really good. I mean, the Luigi's Mansion games have always had such great gameplay to them. Like, this whole series in itself is just such a weird idea to have. Like, you've got one of the Mario brothers who's famous for jumping, and I mean, as far as I know, before the Luigi's Mansion game, did he really have a reputation as like a coward, or like, oh, he's afraid of like seeing ghosts or anything like that? Because I feel like, the Luigi's Mansion franchise is what established Luigi as sort of the cowardly brother.
It's a good question. I think in like the cartoons and stuff, he was kind of like wormy, but I don't think that's really canon at all to the actual games. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's always been interesting to me to see this direction that they've taken Luigi's character, and how well it's worked after so many years. It's just fits so well. Like, I mean, people lost their mind when Luigi's Mansion 3 was revealed, and it for good reason. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Is it going to be anyone's game of the year? Probably not, but it looks like it's going to be a great time.
Yeah, and you're totally right. Spinning Luigi in that direction kind of gave him this personality that people just absolutely love. We had the year Luigi a couple of years ago. We had like this year, him being brutally executed in that Smash Brothers video. You had the Luigi death stare from Mario Kart. Like, people love Luigi. He's just become like an overall favorite character. And for me, he's always been my favorite character. I'm just really basking in it.
Yeah, no. Hey, man, this is your time to shine. Bask away. I love the conspiracy theory that Luigi is still dead, and Luigi's Mansion 3 is just him exploring the haunted mansion where he himself is a ghost.
That would be a pretty cool twist.
Yep. I mean, we all saw it in the Smash Direct. Luigi was brutally killed. I mean, you can't just walk that back.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really crazy surprise, and I love that they hit us with that in the beginning, because then it made you think, all right, wow, there's going to be some wild stuff in this direct. It's not just going to be about stuff that's coming out later this year, and just a little more info on Switch Online. Like, there's going to be some big drops in here.
Let's move on. So they had a couple games that were also released for that they announced for the 3DS. So we've got it looks like here Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, which is a remake of was it a Wii U game? Kirby's.
It was a Wii game, actually. Kirby's Epic Yarn, yeah.
Yes. So that's coming to the 3DS, and we've got Bowser's Inside Story coming to the 3DS.
Mm-hmm. And if you've never played that of the Mario and Luigi series, that's one of the better entries. Of the five, definitely.
Yep.
And you don't need to play other ones, for it to make sense. Like, you can play each one of these on their own. So definitely pick that Bowser's Inside Story up if you've never played it.
Yeah, the Bowser's Inside Story is just such a fun game. I mean, like Mario and Luigi, they're inside Bowser, and they can kind of like you have to traverse Bowser's guts to control Bowser and get through him, and then you switch to Bowser, who is traversing the overworld, and he has to take care of things on his end. It's just such a clever game, and it's just you're right. It's like one of the best of the Mario and Luigi games. Let me see. So we also got more information about the Switch Online service.
Yeah, so this was a little surprising to me. Not what was announced, but how they announced it. I really loved the whole presentation that they made of like the Nintendo characters like acting out everything they were talking about. Like, when they're talking about the voice chat, you got Toad and Luigi and Mario on the couch playing the game. You have Bowser and Bowser Jr. playing and like, passing around the Joy-Cons. Like this is a really charming and very Nintendo-esque presentation of how the whole system's going to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I mean, it's interesting the service that they've got, but I also definitely have a lot of questions and concerns about it. I mean, I do like the price point. I mean, $20 for a year of the service is certainly like it may be a lot of money to a lot of people out there, but it's affordable for the service that you're getting. I'm still very much not a fan of having cloud saves on the system hidden behind that paywall. I feel like having cloud saves for your games should be a basic feature right out of the box. Like it just doesn't sit right with me that you put all these hours into all these games, or and then like your save data can just be lost if anything were to happen to your Switch. I mean, they even demonstrated that in the Direct, where like a thwomp crushes Luigi's Switch, and he lost all of his game data because it was tied to the actual system itself. And Nintendo has had this issue going back ever since online has been a thing for consoles. And it's just like, okay, they're taking baby steps in actually implementing the cloud saves, but to have them like have it be a paid service, like, oh, we'll save your games for you if you pay for it. It's just ugh. And also, this fact that's coming out where if your subscription lapses, then there's no guarantee that your save data will be maintained if your service lapses. Like if you have a PS Plus account and you have save data that's saved on the cloud, and you cancel your service, I think you have 6 months to access that save data again, so you can like reactivate your account or do whatever else you need to do with it, and then it goes away. All indications are, as of right now, the information we have now is that won't be the case with the Nintendo Switch Online service. So no one is quite sure if you potentially, you forgot to renew your subscription on one day, and then the next day your save data, all the backups are just gone. I mean, no one has any knowledge of if that's going to be the case or not.
That's a great point. I would hope that would not be the issue, and that they would kind of think around that at least a little bit. You're right. It's weird. It's kind of strange to make you have to pay for something like that. But I guess on the other hand, if trying to play devil's advocate here, there a lot of server space probably has to be created for all these cloud saves to go in there. And if you think about it, initially when the Switch was launched, the option of a cloud save was not there. And I wonder if deciding to add it after the launch, kind of midway through the console's life cycle, if that kind of changed things, if that kind of caused more expenses than it could have been, maybe to like kind of rush and get that in there. I don't know. I'm with you. I think that should have been in there from the beginning. I think it is a little strange to make people have to pay for that sort of thing. But on the other hand, there might be some people that don't mind. Hey, you know what? Here's $20. Guarantee that my save files will be okay for the upcoming year. So I guess it's all on how you look at it.
Right. So I don't know. I'll just see how it goes from there. But yeah, definitely not a fan of this.
Yeah, because for me personally, like having the save data available now in the cloud is kind of making me want to buy the online service. Like, I don't, as of right now, I'm not playing a lot of games online. I'm not using the voice chat feature at all. The NES stuff that we'll get to in a second, I think it's great and all, but not really anything necessary that I need. But the cloud save option, I'm like, hey, yeah, I want that. I want that security. So personally, that's kind of making me want to drop the $20 to get the Switch service on its own.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's a good point, but yeah, I'll have to see. I'm still I guess a little hesitant. I mean, that again to me is a little rough that they would have something as basic as the online cloud saves be something that is going to we'll entice someone to join up on our system. Like, you should get the service because you want the service itself for the sake of playing online with your friends or with whoever else. It shouldn't be you shouldn't be getting the online service so you can say, oh, I now have access to the cloud saves. I now have access to what should be a basic feature. Like that, I don't know. The whole thing leaves a bad taste in my mouth, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that too.
All right, let's move on. So, also announced, interestingly, is Nintendo, as part of their as part of the online service, they're going to be releasing some NES titles for the service, and they're also releasing controllers that are designed specifically for these NES games. Specifically, they're NES controllers that fit into the Switch, like in the side dock area.
Yeah. So, whereas you were not so thrilled about the cloud saves, I'm not so thrilled about these controllers for many reasons. One, they look awesome. They're wireless. That's great. But here's the thing. They're going to be $60 for the two controllers. You cannot buy these in stores. You have to be a member of the Switch online service, and then you have to put in an order for them online to get them, and they won't even ship until December.
So they're essentially $80.
Yeah, pretty much. They are not compatible with anything outside of an NES game on the Switch. So, like, you couldn't use it to play any indie games or any other downloaded games you have on the Switch right now. They don't work with stuff like the NES Classic Edition. They're very, it's strangely, because Nintendo normally has some sort of way to connect a new product to something else to give it a little bit of legacy life, to make you, be like, okay, I can use it for this as well. Like, for example, the Super Nintendo Classic controllers can also be plugged into Wiimotes and be used as controllers for the Virtual Console on the Wii or the Wii U. Yeah, these are very oddly specifically used only for NES games on the Nintendo Switch Online service. And to me, like, I don't know, that seems like a lot of money for something that might not really be used that much by most people.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you. It's just, especially like, I mean, you've got options too. Like, there's the NES Classic out there. There's certain, I mean, there's ROMs out there that people can access. Although Nintendo's cracking down on that a lot recently. I mean, they're still out there. So I don't necessarily know if something like this is worth the investment for me personally. But I mean, I'm just talking for me personally. I can't speak for anyone else. But yeah, ultimately, there isn't a whole lot about the Switch Online service that's really exciting or enticing to me. I mean, the one thing is, I know eventually when Smash Brothers comes out, if we want to play online against each other, we're going to have to get the service at that point. So, I mean, we can try that out too, because there's a 7-day free trial, so we can test it out and see how it actually works.
Right.
But yeah, ultimately, right now, for what the service itself is actually offering, yeah, it's an affordable price point, but I'm just not really feeling what they're offering for the service. So it's a little bit disappointing for me, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm also underwhelmed. Not really crazy about it. I don't even think I'm going to get it. You know, it comes out tomorrow as we record this. I don't see any reason why I should get that right now.
Oh, no, definitely not.
But it is, you know, I think that $20 price point for a whole year, I think is very good. And, you know, when I eventually do have to get it to play something online, like, it won't be as tough as a pill to swallow. You know, it's not like a full 60 or whatever compared to, you know, the PS4 or Xbox One's online services.
Yes. So, moving on. Justin, are you a fan of Final Fantasy?
Yes, I am, Chris.
Well, boy howdy, do I have some news for you.
Oh,
yeah, do I
man.
yeah, do I have the system for you? Man. So, wow, we've got so many games being released and re-released on the Switch. Like, if you are a fan of the Final Fantasy games whatsoever, then this Direct was a treat for you. We've got the world of Final Fantasy Maxima, which looks like it's that remake of Final Fantasy 15. It looks like
Those are two separate things, actually. So there's the Final Fantasy 15 Chibi Edition, which is like the, you know, mobile, like light on graphics, cartoony style version of the game. World of Final Fantasy is another chibi style Final Fantasy game. We have the Crystal Chronicles remaster, which was kind of a surprise. I know they had announced that a couple of days before the Direct, but that's a game that I didn't think would ever see like life again, you know. And you know, I actually had played that on the GameCube with, you know, we had 4 players with the Game Boy link cables and everything, and like, you know, it was a huge pain in the butt, but we still played it, and I remember it being pretty fun. And to be able to play that without all that hassle and just kind of like hop in and play it online, I think that would be great. So I'm actually pretty excited for that.
Mm-hmm. No, it looks super, super cool. We're also getting what was it? We had Final Fantasy 12: The Zodiac Age, which was released, what was it, last year? Or I don't remember when it was out, but it's now coming out on the Switch.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise.
That was a huge surprise. And for classic Final Fantasy fans out there, we've got Final Fantasies 7, 9, 10, and 10-2 Remaster are all coming to the Switch next year.
Yeah, which was huge.
Yeah, it's just so funny because I just all my life Final Fantasy VII has been famous as the one where Square jumped ship from Nintendo to Sony and released it on a Sony platform, and now here we are, we're getting Final Fantasy VII for the first time being released on a Nintendo system. So it's like they've come full circle at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy. The only thing that's kind of a bummer is I'm pretty sure that these, as in 7 and 9, are are going to be the like the versions of the game that have recently come out on Steam, and I know
Right.
they had some flaws here and there, some things changed, so that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah,
But
we're
you know,
also not getting Final Fantasy VIII released, which a lot
yes,
of people were scratching their heads over. Because I mean, we've got 7, 9, 10, and 10 too. Naturally, where's 8?
well, to answer that is actually just going back to what I was saying. Final Fantasy VIII does not have a remade port for Steam or anything like that yet. So it kind of basically is proving that these are going to be the games that are coming over from Steam, and that once if Final Fantasy VIII ever comes over on Steam and gets that like port, then most likely it'll come over to Switch as well.
Right. I was also reading an interesting article. I forget where it was, but I think it was VG247. They were talking about one of the issues with Final Fantasy VIII, why it's not coming over. It kind of ties into the bigger issue, which this could be its whole other discussion of video game preservation, and how the PC ports of Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and those other games, they are not that great because the teams that had to do the PC ports pretty much had to reverse engineer the games themselves because Square did not keep the original source code for any of those games. They were just like, "Oh, we built the game, we released it. All right, control all delete. All right, time to move on to the next project."
Jeez.
So yeah, and I mean it's not just Square. There's a lot of companies out there that kind of do the exact same thing, and so it was very difficult for people to create the PC ports of the games from whatever code that Square provided for them. And the Final Fantasy VIII PC port is considered like extremely buggy and just really, really bad. That to the point I guess where they decided, you know what, that is going to need a lot more polish before we can even think about releasing that on the Switch.
That's
So
funny because the PC port is how my brother and I played Final Fantasy VIII. He actually had it for the PC. And I don't remember it being too buggy, but I was also super young when we played it, so it might have been terrible.
yeah, so I don't know. It was it's just interesting that whole thing about like video game preservation and how that affects games nowadays. So, again, we could have a whole other topic discussing this, but ultimately,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 7, 9, 10, 10 2 all coming to the Switch, and we'll probably just have to wait a little longer for 8
Yep.
if it comes at all.
And Final Fantasy Chocobo Dungeon is actually coming to Switch as well. That was a Wii title that I had always wanted to pick up, but I never did, and it looked kind of cool. So it's like a fun, cartoony style of Final Fantasy where you play as the Chocobos, and it looks like a really good time, and maybe I'll check it out now that it's on the Switch.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, moving on. So, Justin, this is the portion where you can kind of not pay attention and fiddle with your thumbs a little bit as we go into the Animal Crossing news.
Okay. Look, I am
A hater.
super.
No, I understand. No, some people just don't like joy and fun in their lives. I get it. I understand.
All I said was I'm kind of over Animal Crossing, and I'm being made as this Animal Crossing, like, absolute despiser.
Just a cold-hearted monster. I don't know how else to put it.
All right, so what did you think of the little Isabel scene there?
So, all right. So when I first saw Isabel in that scene, I was like, okay, like we're getting the Animal Crossing release. Like this is it. This is the announcement. People have been begging, pleading, tears in their eyes, saying, please release a new Animal Crossing game, a proper Animal Crossing game for the Switch. Please, please, please. So we saw Isabelle, and I was like, oh, this is it. It's happening. It's happening. And then Pete the Pelican shows up and gives her a letter, and it's like, oh, what could this be? And it could be like, oh, the mayor is coming back or whatever. And then she turns around. They want me in Smash? I was apoplectic with rage. I was livid. You have no idea. I was like, because I know a lot of people out there were like, oh, wow, Isabelle, she's going to be in Smash. I am not one of those people. I mean, like, yeah, Isabelle's in Smash, that's cool or whatever. I wanted a new Animal Crossing game, god damn it. And so for Nintendo to be like, oh, yeah, here it is, and then, oh, she's in Smash. And then they showed footage of her, like, in Smash Brothers. And I was just like, oh, man, I was mad. I was legit furious.
Yeah, so I was thinking the same thing when I was watching that. I was like, wow, here it is, Animal Crossing, I can't believe it. Like, it's coming finally. The fans are going to get what they want. I'm happy for them. And then, like, that quick Smash turnaround thing, and my, like, stomach dropped. I was like, oh, no, did they just know what they were doing right there, trolling all of these Animal Crossing fans to make them think that they were getting what they wanted and then to not get it. I was awaiting bated breath, like thinking that there must please be something else to talk about, because I just cannot believe they would do that like that.
What a just epic troll job by Nintendo there, which mercifully they're like, all right. So, yeah, I could see them kind of behind the scenes like, all right, settle down, everybody, don't worry, we got your back. Because then they whipped out old Tom Nook, who was like, well, Isabelle's doing smashing and fighting, and like, everyone's doing camping. He's like, somebody's gotta run things around here. And then they're like, all right, new Animal Crossing coming in 2019. And I'm like, yes, thank you. My God. Like, I literally watched it to the very last second just to make sure it wasn't a troll job.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so yes, there will be a new Animal Crossing. Thank God. And I never would have expected that Tom Nook would be our savior there. But yeah, here we are. So new Animal Crossing coming in 2019. So that is very thrilling.
Yeah, so it looks like, Nintendo is being pretty serious about 2019. We all know they came out of the gate swinging for 2017. We had a bunch of huge releases back to back, and this year, 2018, has been pretty much a dry spell in terms of first party big releases. Indies have been flourishing, which has been great, and they've been a huge backbone for Nintendo. They've really been carrying, I think, the Switch this year. But I think with all that extra time, I think a lot of games maybe that were supposed to come out in 2018 were kind of pushed back to 2019 just to beef up 2019 so much that it can have another year like 2017 for the Switch. So, I'm kind of excited for next year, and I feel like we're going to be getting treated to a lot of really good content.
Oh yeah, yeah. This year, if you're a Nintendo fan, it has been a bit of a dry spell. But next year, definitely, we're going to be getting a lot of great new releases, a lot of fun titles. This direct was very promising. It definitely has helped me feel better, because I remember after the E3 Direct, I was feeling a little bummed because of how heavily they focused on Smash Brothers. And don't get me wrong, I'm excited for Smash, but I wanted a little bit more, in terms of other games. And these past couple Directs have definitely eased that feeling a lot. So I'm excited to see the direction Nintendo is going in the future. And yeah, this left me feeling good, feeling excited.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really strong Direct that I think they really needed to have go well and to continue to generate hype for the Switch that I thought was maybe starting to fizzle a little bit. But, I think this is bringing it right back. A couple brief things that we could touch on before we get out of here. That game Town that they showed off, that new RPG by Game Freak, makers of Pokemon, is in its very early stages, but that looked kind of interesting. RPG against these like giant monsters that you're kind of fighting, like in a really close quarters, and like a really cool, innovative looking battle system. That kind of piqued my interest.
Mm-hmm. We're also, like I mentioned earlier, we're getting Civ 6 coming to the system for all you RTS fans out there. And we're also getting Katamari Damacy released for the system. So, hell yeah. That's awesome.
That was a big surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one at all.
Yeah, and especially after playing Donut County, really made me want to play Katamari. And now I got a chance to.
Yep. So, yeah, a lot of promising stuff going on in the land of the Big N.
Yep. There's probably some stuff we forgot to talk about, but, it was a huge direct. And, just really excited for stuff coming out next year.
Yes. What do you say we wrap this up?
I concur. All right. That's all for this week. Remember, Press A repeatedly posts new episodes Tuesdays on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, YouTube, and Spotify. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to rate and review the show, or tell your friends about us. It helps other people find the podcast and will really help us grow. And thank you to all who have rated, reviewed, and subscribed so far. We love you.
You can follow us on our Facebook page or on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Press A Repeatedly. I'm at cgold113, and Justin is at oaf7724. You can email us any questions or comments at parpodcast@gmail.com. That's parpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to check us out on our new site at pressarepeatedly.com. And that's all for this week. Chris and Justin signing off. And remember to go flying around Manhattan like only a spider can. Press A repeatedly.